Hello, hello, hello. Welcome,
I'm
welcome,
coming
welcome back to
out.
Outta My Show.
I'm coming out of my shell. I've
Welcome, welcome,
been
welcome back to
looking
Outta My Show. And it's your
low,
girl,
trying to move
Michelle. Hey, girl, hey.
on out of
Welcome, welcome,
my
welcome. So tonight we are going to
shell, out of
talk about
my
how
shell.
you right there, and you over there, and I see you hiding in the corner over there, girl, how you walk into your DUE season, your due season. I believe, now don't quote me here, this is just my belief. I believe that this is the due season. Now, I know it's a lot going on in the world, but this is the time to strike while the iron is hot. And I'm getting so many confirmations that that is the truth. I know for certain this is my DUE season. So, how do you make room for your due season? So, let me just share a little story. I'm going to piggyback on my story from last week. So, last week we talked about my getting the keyboard and why that was important to me. So, in order for me to step into a place of ownership, to step into a place of capturing what it is that I said I wanted, what it is that I thought was stolen from me by the enemy, what it is that I thought I aborted or, offered up and just gave up on, in order for me to actually take hold of that, to capture it, to take possession of it, I had to make room first. Now, we're going to go through so many steps over the next few weeks of how you identify your due season, what you need to do, the who, the what, the when, the why, the where. But for tonight, we're talking about making room. When I realized it was time for me to stop making excuses, and I realized that I had to get off of my chunky little booty and say, you know what, something that I wanted from my childhood, it's still a desire. I want to possess that. I want to recapture something that I felt was stolen from me. Well, in order to do that, I had to make room. I had to make space. See, what I learned is often we miss our due season because we won't make room for it. Number one. So, in order to really capture and walk into and possess your due season, you have to make room for it. Okay. So start getting into a place of preparation where we're preparing for what it is that we say we want. We're preparing for God's promises. We're preparing for whatever it is that we dreamed about, we hoped for, we desire, we strongly want. You have to prepare for it. Make room, make space. How many times are there women out there and men who say they want a spouse, they want a significant other, they want love in their lives, but they won't make room for it? What does that mean to make room? Well, when I was single, over 9 years ago, almost 10 now, I really didn't make room for a spouse. I wasn't trying to be married at that point. Not that I said I wouldn't be married again, but it wasn't on the top of my list of priorities at that time. And when my husband appeared, I had a lot of traits that were single minded. So, how often do women talk about, I'm waiting on my man, my Boaz to find me. I'm waiting on that man to go find me. I'm going to go out. I'm going to make myself available. I'm going to be out there, but I want to be married. But we're single minded. And what do I mean by being single-minded? For me, it showed up in a place of I was very independent. And I'm not telling women, girl, don't start. Listen, don't jump ahead. I'm not telling you that you should be codependent. In order for you to be a good spouse, you have to be a whole woman. The two come together and become one. You can't be two coming together and becoming one if you're half a person. Okay. So I'm telling you, yes, it's fine to be, independent to a certain degree. It's fine to be able to, bring home the bacon fried up in the pan and never let him forget he's a man. That's all cool and dandy. But men need space. Men need responsibilities. Men need to know that there is something that they are contributing to the relationship. So for me, I was so used to being a single mother carrying a 7-foot tree up the stairs when my baby was 5 years old in our apartment, carrying this huge live tree, and she's behind me like, Mommy, may I help you? And I'm pretending to let her help, but I got it. I got this. So we got married and I still had this. I still can put up the curtains by myself. I can build the whole entertainment system by myself. I can do all these things. Why can I do it? Because I wasn't sitting up waiting for no man to come and do something for me when I had my child and I'm just by myself. And that caused contention Because when a person doesn't have a level of ownership in any relationship, when they don't feel that they contribute to the relationship, often they will walk away from the relationship. Whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, they will check out after a while. After they realize they don't do anything, they bring no value. Well, why are they there? So I had to start acknowledging that. And I didn't make space before we got married. So it was even more difficult after. So I'm exposing some things, y'all. This is some nuggets. Take it, write it down. But it was more difficult to deal with that after, because you're dealing with the repercussions of your actions with a person. See, if I was single and I dealt with it, okay, Michelle, you have to learn to receive help, even from your friends, even from if you have family members. Now, we're not going to talk about my family, but if you have a supportive family, but you're always like, no, I got it. I can do it. I don't need no help. And you suffer in silence and you do everything for yourself because you want to show up as independent. You want to show up as I don't need anybody. When you get married, you're going to carry that same perspective, that same posture over to your marriage. So it is much easier for you to deal with these things and start to acknowledge these things and make room for that spouse that you say you want. Because if you start making room after he's already there, you're going to have a few disagreements. You're going to have some arguments. There's going to be some resistance. You're going to have to battle this thing in front of and with another person. And that can create contention. So first, you want it, you dream about it, you desire it, you can't do nothing but think about it. Start preparing now. Make room to receive it. Act as if you already have it. Walk around opening and inviting that thing in so that when your due season arrives, you can slide into it, you can glide into it, and there will be no resistance. So that's first, make room. So in the due season, I talked about how sometimes we, cause contention in our own due seasons. Well, so many people are walking around right now, not even understanding that their due season has arrived. And why don't we understand it? Because how does a due season appear? Well, it shows up as labor. Think about when a woman is pregnant. It shows up in the season after you've sown the seeds, you've done the work, you've watered, you nourish it. And here comes the labor. You had sex, right? You received the seed from the man. You received it. And now you're nourishing your body. You're taking care of that baby. You're taking prenatal vitamins. You're going for your doctor's visits and all these things. And then you walk into the season of the push. Right? When you're due, people say, when are you due? The first question when you're pregnant. Well, girl, when are you due? You look good. When are you due? When is your due season? So when you're due, you got to push, girl. And when you're due, it's going to be painful. Before a woman gives birth to a baby, majority of the time they go through labor, right? You're having those contractions. Your womb is preparing at that moment. And I mean, it's been preparing before because you start to dilate, and that's preparation, right? That goes right back to what we talked about, making room. Your uterus is making room for this baby to come forth. So we have to make room, but also we have to identify that our due season is going to come as pain. It's going to show up as some kind of labor. It's going to show up in the form of work. Work, 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 work. It's my name, work, 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 work. Forget you. I know I don't know the words, but it sounds good. It's my name, work, 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 work. Her name, work, work. Okay, let me get back. I'm sorry, I got distracted. So it is time to get work. Get to work. So how are you preparing, right? You recognize that, oh my gosh, this is my season of labor. See, we think the due season comes with tulips and lollipops and tiptoeing through the roses and the petals and everyone. You walk into a room and people are playing harps and violins and they're getting ready to receive you. No, when it's your due season, a door might open, but behind that door, you're going to find 4 letters, W-O-R-K, work, 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 work. So in order for you to prepare and not sit into a place of complaining about the pain, because often we ignore the due season and instead we fall into depression. because we're screaming, God, why isn't it happening for me? And God's like, this is the time right now. I've anointed this season for you to strike while the iron is hot. But because you won't recognize that you're going to have to invest your time, your blood, your sweat, your tears, your prayers, your supplications, your fasting, because you don't realize that. But see, here's the problem. In not realizing it, we can miss the due season. If we would realize it and do what we can do, our natural, allow God to put the super on it, He will give you the grace to sustain you in all that work. He'll give you the grace to build that business, to build that company, to execute that dream, to walk into that thing. He'll give you those supernatural abilities where you're walking around like, man, I have no idea how I did all that. And I'm not even tired. He will put His grace on it. Instead, we wallow in the covers crying about why God won't just bless me. I've been guilty. I'm not talking to just you. Because, girl, before I share anything, I have to process it, and God brings it to me as a rebuke. So I've already processed this stuff and said, Lord, I'm sorry, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that. He like, don't call yourself stupid. I made you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are a blessed woman. You missed it. Now get up and get to it. That's all. Okay? So no self-degradation. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Okay? So you are not condemned, but it's time to get up. And while you get up and recognize that this is the due season, you know what else it's time for you to do? So you have to recognize that it comes as work. First, you make room. Second, recognize that it shows up as work. Third, and this is part of kind of making room almost. Third, now you have to go and find your tribe. You have to make yourself available to your tribe. You have to seek them out. You have to look and pay attention. And I don't mean walking around being manipulative. I couldn't get that word out. I don't mean manipulating people into doing things for you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about putting yourself in a place and a position of receiving when the experts come, receiving when you're not the smartest person in the room anymore, receiving that there are those who are experts in this field in which you're trying to reach and you're trying to walk into your due season. So what does that have to do with a woman in labor? Well, a woman in labor needs a midwife. She needs a doctor. And even if she can give birth to the baby and without anybody at home, because some people have babies in cars. I have an aunt who had a baby on her way to the hospital. Okay, but she still needed the doctors. Otherwise, the baby could be infected. You could be infected. And it's not sustainable. It's not a sustainable blessing then. So we still need the experts. We need the midwives. We need the doctors. We need the OB-GYNs. We need the people who have gone before us, those who have studied this thing, those who have given birth to this very thing, this very dream, this very vision that we want. So now we have to open ourselves up to individuals who are smarter than we are, who know more, who have more insight. It's time for you to get into that place of position. It's time for you to get into that position so that you can receive from others and receive that due season. See, because those experts, those people who have been there, the doctors who've studied it, the doctors that put in all their money and all their time in medical school and all these things, and the midwives who have helped women in labor deliver hundreds of babies, they see from a different perspective. They see from a different angle. You are seeing, yes, I'm going to say that. They see from a different perspective and a different angle. You are seeing from a place of expectation and anxiety. They see from a place of birth and sustainability. Okay, so you see from up here, right? I just want it out of me. Get it out of me. So you have the expectation, you have the anxiety, you're seeing from a place of pain. They're seeing from a place of promise, a place of prosperity, a place of purpose, a place of birth, and a place of existence. They've already been in it. So I know it hurts to push. And we think because we carried the vision, it's supposed to just come forth because we sowed it and we watered it. But we will reap. Listen to me. You will reap in due season. If you refuse to faint, you will reap in due season if you refuse to faint. So So you got to get in position and get ready to push through the pain, push through the anxiety, push through to the promise. And sometimes we miss that season because we have not created the tribe, the experts, the space, the expectation, and then getting into a place where you are ready to be the student. Because although you've given birth to this baby, that baby's going to teach you more in the first 9 months of their life than you teach them. I'm sorry, it's the truth. Because until you have a child, you have no clue. And even if you had other kids, when you have that child is going to teach you in a different way because every child is different. And every blessing, every promise we give birth to, it's going to take a different road. It's going to take a different perspective. It's going to take a different plan, a different strategy, something different. You may have the blueprint, but every so often you're going to have to veer off and do something a little different. And you need people who have gone before you, to help navigate. Now, am I saying that the only way for you to walk into your due season is if you have your tribe? Absolutely not. Because if that were the case, then people who have no one would never be successful. They'd never walk in the promises of God. But even in that situation, you have to invest in the word of God. You have to hide yourself in his word and ask him for supernatural divine wisdom. I've been in those positions where I felt alone and God, I don't have anybody to show me. God still made room. He still made ways. Little House on the Prairie taught me what a man should be and what a family should look like and how to love God. That sounds so weird, but God left that ram in the bush for me because there were not adults around me to be good examples. So there's never an excuse. Even if we don't have the tribe, God will open up the windows of heaven and pour us out a blessing. It may come in the form of a TV show. It may come in the form of a pet. It could come in any form. God will use any and everything. So just to recap, girl, because I don't want this video going over too long. I want to ask you something. I know you have dreams and visions and desires. I know there are promises that you feel like God forgot about you. He has not forgotten about you. I want you to ask yourself, those things that you want, have you prepared yourself to receive it? And not just receive it, but sustain it when it comes. Have you made space for that spouse, those children, that business, that vehicle, that house, that new life? Have you cleaned up your credit and you want these things? Or you're just praying and giving in the offering and thinking God's going to bless you and give you a house supernaturally? It's going to fall from heaven. Are you making space for that spouse, that man you want, that woman you want? Or are you still kicking it? Are you still out there? I'm living the single life. Are you still out there with selfishness? Because one thing that will never work in a marriage is being self-centered and thinking it's my way or the highway. Do you say things like, that's just how I am. Anybody that come along in my life, they're just going to have to be able to receive me and accept me as I am. Wrong, girl. Wrong. Because if that is the case, then you have stopped yourself from growing. You have limited your ability to expand. You have to expand. In expanding and growing, there's going to be growing pains. Have you made space? And once you've made space, are you receiving your tribe? Are you receiving those people who are coming in, designed and designated, appointed and anointed to help you, to help show you, to help teach you, to help grow you? Are you sitting as a student? And when I say sitting, I don't mean being immobile. I mean in a position of humility, receiving from their truth, receiving from their guidance, receiving from their experience. And then are you implementing the lessons? Are you walking out and applying that faith and your works together so that you can capture, you can grab your due season? See, we're so used to comfort. 2020 is shaking all that up. We're so used to comfort, but we have to realize that a due season is going to come in the form of work. Are you ready to work? So making space requires that you open yourself up for some blood, sweat, and tears. Give birth to that baby. You don't want to, no, I'm not having the baby. I changed my mind because it's too painful. No, if it is a promise, if it has been a seed sown, watered and planted and nourished, it's time for you to walk into that promise by receiving the work, by executing the desired dream, to execute the desired dream. We must realign what's comfortable and normal to accommodate what's desired and hoped for. I will repeat that because that was good to my soul. We have to realign what's comfortable and normal so that we can accommodate what's desired and hoped for. Those dreams, those visions, those promises. So girl, it's time. It's your due season. I know you probably heard it before. Receive this as confirmation. It's your due season. And that due season, it is the identical twin of work. Get to work, girl. Make room, make space to receive it. Receive your tribe. Walk in that level of expectation, receive it, and do the work. That's it. That's all. Next week, we'll go deeper in what you need to do to grab, to capture, to possess your due season. I thank you, girl. It is Thursday, December 17th. We are almost in 2021. And my word for 2021, if you didn't know, is due season. So I'm putting in the work. What about you? In the comments, tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you're working with, girl. What you working with? Who you working with? Who have you partnered with? I'm inviting, if you are out there and you want to partner and you have expertise and you know you can be valuable in my life and I can add value to your life, reach out. I have so many ideas that are going to require other people, the ones that are sent, appointed, and anointed for my life. So I thank you. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video out that it can help someone else recognize their due season. I feel like I missed some of my points. If I did, we'll go further. We'll go deeper next week. If not, we'll go into the who, what, when, why, and where for your due season. Till next time, listen, you right there. Don't click off. You do one thing to make you come out of your shell. Because there's no growth in a shell. There's a cap. There's a ceiling. You can only grow so far inside of a shell. God wants to grow you in an expedient way. I see you. God sees you. He has not forgotten, and the promise has not changed. Till next time. Bye, girl. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.